Welcome to Bible for Modern Minds podcast.
Our mission, as always, is pretty simple. We take the most detailed source material out there, and we pull out the most critical, surprising bits of knowledge for you.
And today we are diving into a really high-stakes, deeply personal story.
Yes, the testimony of Samira al-Maleh. She's an Omani princess whose life, well, it took a path that almost no one could ever imagine, from a palace to, believe it or not, death row.
So our deep dive today is really about understanding the arc of the story. We're looking at these huge clashing forces.
How does that kind of extreme wealth live side by side with this deep spiritual hunger?
Right, and what are the real consequences of apostasy, of leaving your religion in a powerful royal family?
And maybe the biggest question, what happens when your personal belief becomes more important than your own survival?
What's so striking in Samira's testimony is the tension. It's almost unbearable. I mean, this isn't just a story about a rich person feeling sad.
Not at all.
We're looking at this intersection of rigid political power, incredible wealth, and religious law, where, the penalty for stepping out of line is death.
She describes a life that gives you everything you could ever want, materially speaking.
Everything but meaning. The core conflict is a life that has, the whole world, versus a soul that, and this is her own phrase, was starving.
Okay, so let's start there. In what she calls the Gilded Cage. She was born in 1996, the fourth daughter of Sultan Qaboos bin Abdul Rahman.
And the source material really paints a picture. The palace in Muscat, it's a compound stretching over 40 hectares.
40 hectares. And we're talking about Italian marble floors, chandeliers that reportedly cost more than most people earn in an entire lifetime.
It's just staggering. And it wasn't just, a fancy house. It was a kind of hyper-customized confinement. She had her own private wing with 10 rooms.
10 rooms for one person.
With servants assigned just to her for every single need. Meals on pure silver plates. Private jets were like, taking the bus for her.
But if you look at the psychology of that, the luxury itself becomes a form of control, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's designed so you never need to look outside the system for anything, not for fulfillment and definitely not for your identity.
So her physical needs are met, but her spirit was being, aggressively managed.
Right. Her religious education starts when she's 4 years old, and it's immediately focused on memorizing the Quran.
And by age 11, she'd memorized over half of it.
Which is incredible, but it wasn't optional, it was enforced. She talked about the 5 daily prayers being done with, and I'm quoting here, military precision, tutors watching her every move.
Every part of the ritual, watching every prostration, had to be perfect.
But she felt nothing. She described it as being like reciting a shopping list of words and movements, so her spiritual life was all about performance, not a relationship.
And the state is backing this up with terror. The religious police were a constant shadow, even for the royal family.
Monitoring them for proper Islamic conduct, and it gets darker. She talks about witnessing public executions in the city square.
For crimes like adultery, but also for apostasy, for leaving Islam.
And she was taught that even questioning these punishments was a sin. It sets up this terrifying idea that dissent isn't just wrong, it's fatal.
So if we connect that fear to her own future, there's also this intense objectification. She talks about the pressure to marry.
Exactly. Her future was already decided. A commercial transaction, she called it.
She felt like an ornament.
Yeah. The source describes how suitors would basically examine her, almost like livestock, calculating her value based on her family connections and her words, her reproductive potential.
That total lack of personal agency, despite all the money, it just creates this crisis, and no amount of marble or silver can fix that.
It really underscores the lack of dignity she felt as a woman in that context.
So this suffocating life of luxury and control, a crack, finally appears in October 2019. She's 23.
And very unusually, she gets to go with her uncle on a diplomatic mission to Barcelona.
This was the first time in her life she was ever truly alone, without supervision.
They're staying at the Hotel Arts. She gets to her room and describes the silence as both terrifying and thrilling. No guards, no servants, nothing.
That physical distance was the key. It's what allowed her spiritual journey to even begin.
And it began in the most ordinary place, a bedside table drawer. She was just looking for some stationery.
And she finds a small black book with gold lettering, a holy Bible.
And she knew instantly the danger. In Oman, just possessing that book was a crime. Imprisonment, maybe even death.
The very sentence she'd seen carried out. And yet she felt this pull towards it. She couldn't ignore it.
The change was immediate. The first thing she read was John 1.1. In the beginning was the Word. She said the words just pierced my heart like lightning.
A whole life of trying to earn favor through perfect ritual.
And this book spoke of love, of grace. An invitation, not a command.
She stayed up all night reading. She was fascinated by the person of Jesus, healing the sick, feeding the hungry.
But the part she really highlights is how he treated women. With dignity and respect. It was a complete reversal of everything she had ever known.
The actual moment of conversion, she says, came when she read John 3.16. For God so loved the world.
That one verse just flipped a switch. It shifted everything from earning favor to receiving unconditional love. It was the answer to that emptiness she felt.
So she knew she couldn't leave it behind.
No way. She describes hiding the Bible in her carry-on, and it felt, she says, like smuggling an explosive.
Back in Muscat, the risk is even higher. She takes an old, complicated book of Islamic commentaries.
Something nobody would ever want to read.
Right. And she hollows it out and hides the Bible inside. Every single night after midnight, she had read it under the covers with a tiny flashlight. It became her most dangerous possession.
And this secret life goes on for months. But secrets, especially in a place like that, they don't last.
The whole thing comes crashing down on February 25th, 2020. Her cousin Fatima comes in.
She asks to borrow an Islamic text, and Samira just points to the shelf.
Fatima grabs the hollowed-out book. She feels the difference in the weight, opens it, and sees the Bible.
Samira said her cousin's face went white as marble.
She just dropped the book and ran. And Samira knew right then that her life was over.
The response was almost instant. Within 3 hours, her father, her uncle, religious advisors, they all burst into her room.
Her father, she says, was purple with rage. And you have to understand, this isn't just about religion. This is about dynastic honor, political risk.
Her apostasy was a shame on the entire family line.
So they offer her a way out, a lifeline, really.
They tell her, burn the book, publicly say you repent, and claim you were temporarily possessed by evil spirits.
This is the moment of truth.
And her refusal was just absolute. She said, I cannot deny what I know to be true. Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior.
The reaction was violent. Her uncle slapped her so hard she fell down.
And maybe worse, her own mother just turned her back on her and walked out of the room, silently. That was it. The family tie was severed.
The official response came just as fast. The religious police, the Committee for the Promotion of Virtue and Prevention of Vice, they arrested her before sunset.
Stripped her of her royal robes, put her in a coarse gray prison uniform. Her new identity was just a number. Prisoner 3,492.
She's thrown into a tiny cell, 2 meters by 2.5 meters, the walls stained with what she called blood and tears.
And the interrogation was brutal. It lasted for 20 straight hours. They wanted names of other converts. They wanted to know how she got the Bible.
3 weeks later, she's standing before the Islamic court.
The charges are read out. Apostasy, blasphemy, corruption of Islamic values.
And they give her one last chance to recant.
And the pressure in that moment must have been just immense. All she had to do was recite the Shahada.
For anyone who doesn't know, that's the basic declaration of Islamic faith. There is no God but God, and Muhammad is the messenger of God.
One sentence. Say that one sentence and you live.
But she refused. She said she would rather die as a Christian than live as a lie.
And that sealed it. The sentence was death by stoning. To be carried out less than a month later, on March 18th, 2020, she was taken straight to death row.
So now she's on death row. The prison imam visits her every day, promising her a full life marriage, kids, if she'll just say the words.
But her conviction just got stronger. 3 days before the execution, her mother comes for one last desperate visit.
Begging her, just say the words.
And Samira's response? Just. It captures the scale of the choice she made. She told her mother, I love you more than my own life, but I love Jesus even more than you.
Her mother left, and then her father sent word that she was officially considered dead. Her name was never to be spoken again.
This brings us to the night of March 17th, 2020, her last night.
She's on her mattress. She knows the sun will bring the executioner. She spends the hours praying, but she also asks for a sign that she wasn't alone.
And this is the point in her testimony where the story moves into, well, the supernatural.
At exactly 3:33 in the morning, she says her dark, cold cell was suddenly filled with a brilliant, warm, peaceful light.
She describes seeing a vision of Jesus in radiant white robes, speaking to her in perfect Arabic.
He told her, your suffering was not in vain. And then he gives her a mission. You will take my message to the nations. trust me completely.
And she says, in that moment, all her fear just vanished, replaced by this incredible supernatural peace.
An hour later, the escape begins.
She hears a click. The heavy steel door to her cell just unlocks. Silently.
She steps out into the corridor, expecting alarms, shouting.
But there's nothing. Total silence. Every single security camera she passes is dark. The little red recording lights are all off.
The details she gives here are very specific. The central monitoring station, which should have been a hive of activity, was completely silent.
She looks inside, and every guard is what she calls a deep, supernatural sleep, just slumped over in their chairs, unconscious.
She walks past multiple locked doors that just open as she gets near them. The main exit, which needs a complex code, biometric scans.
It just clicks open, no alarm. The entire security system designed to keep her in allegedly failed at every single point, all at the same time.
So she steps out into the dawn in Muscat, a free woman.
And a taxi appears almost immediately. The driver asks no questions, takes her to the airport.
And this is crucial. Her real passport, which should have been flagged in every system in the country, it scans normally at every checkpoint.
She boards a flight to Athens. 5 hours later, she lands and just weeps with gratitude.
In Athens, she immediately applies for asylum. 3 months later, she's publicly baptized at the New Life Christian Church.
And she enrolls in Bible seminary right away, studying 16 hours a day, just trying to fill that spiritual void she'd had for her entire life.
But this new life came with a huge ongoing cost.
Her parents didn't just disown her, they officially declared her dead. They held a funeral, they put up a headstone, wiped her from the family history.
And the threats haven't stopped. She gets regular, serious death threats, promising that Omani agents will find her and finish the job.
But the most compelling part for me isn't just the escape, it's what she did next.
Her ministry became about so much more than just telling her story.
Right. She started working with underground networks to help other persecuted Christians escape from Islamic countries. She uses her knowledge of the culture, her connections.
She uses everything from her old life to save people in her new one. And this isn't just theory. The source says she has personally helped rescue 42 believers who were facing prison or death.
It's an incredible level of dedication. She's taking the risk from that vision and turning it into real life-saving action.
She married a Greek missionary, Andreas, in 2022, and they continue that work together.
And her perspective on what she lost, the palace, the family, the wealth, is that all the things she thought she needed were actually stopping her from finding true joy. She traded a palace for a purpose.
So after all that, what does this mean for you listening? This journey from Omani royalty to a mission in Athens, it's one of the most powerful examples you can find of someone choosing conviction over comfort.
Absolutely. When you distill the source material, the biggest takeaway is just how radical her choice was. She wasn't just giving up money, she was giving up safety, her identity, the love of her entire family.
The love she found, she decided, was worth more than everything she lost.
And that's the knowledge we gain today, a real-world measure of what extreme faith can look like.
To leave you with a final thought, Samira's testimony kind of challenges us directly. She asks this question that connects her reality to ours. It's simple, but profound.
What is the truth you hold worth to you?
Is it worth your comfort zone? Is it worth your reputation? Is it worth your entire life?
The sheer scale of her sacrifice forces you to look at your own convictions. I mean, if a woman can risk a kingdom and death by stoning for a truth she found in a little black book, it makes you examine what you believe and what you're willing to risk when the cost is just, a little inconvenience or some social awkwardness.
A very compelling idea to think about until our next deep dive.